Hi, I'm Shaun Murphy and this is my career in colour and emotion. What I will say first before we go any further is this is some look, and I am massively regretting my trouser choice. What can you do? Right, let's crack on. Turning pro at 15, turning pro, it doesn't get any newer than that, does it? So I think I'll go for new beginning. Do you get extra marks for keeping within the lines? I'm gonna go give it some kind of outer border situation. I'm also gonna go happiness, so that's cactus. It was a new beginning, but it was a very, very happy moment. Elation, happiness, achieved my life's goal of turning pro as the youngest ever at 15, and 12 months later, relegated off the tour, back you go, you weren't good enough. That is pure frustration. Where is Auburn Trees? I wasn't just playing kids anymore who were getting ferried around the country by their parents. Now you're playing professionals who are playing around the world, earning their living. This was going to be a bit more of a difficult job than I thought it was. A bit like this painting. Age 19, making my Crucible debut. I remember waiting for the draw to come out, really excited, listening to the draw. And who should I get? God himself. Does it get any more difficult for a young kid than playing Stephen Hendry at the World Championships in his backyard? I mean, I did feel quite blue because ultimately I lost the match. Getting to the Crucible was a big goal. To finally get there 10 years later was a massive, massive deal. There we are. Here we go straight into 2005 at 22 years of age. Well, this was the third time I'd played at the Crucible. I'd never won a match there before in my other two previous attempts. I had no aspirations of winning the tournament at all. Nobody was more surprised than me, the way it all worked out.
Incredible. Shaun Murphy is going to take away the £250,000 first prize.
I'm going to have to go with passion. That's the wet coral down here. I'm going to fill this, I think, with, passion, because that was probably the biggest moment of my life, even still to this day. I mean, winning the World Championship doesn't get any bigger than that. There was no expectation. No one thought I was going to do anything, so there was no relief to be felt. It was just an amazing moment, which, if I'm honest, I haven't been able to do again. So we fast forward to 08 and the UK Championships, and my game was in shreds at the time. I was doing nothing. I had no game at all. And just something clicked through that year's championship. Through each round, I got a bit stronger, got a bit better, got a bit more confidence. And by the end of it, I really fancied the job. Despite that, it was a 10-9 thriller that went on, I think, past midnight. It was a late finish. Marco and I put on a really good match. I think looking back, it was a mixture of relief and satisfaction. I think I'm going to put them together again. I'm going to dip over here for a bit of relief because, having listened to all these idiots for so long saying that, oh yeah, he fluked the World Championship, he'll never do anything again. It was a real relief to get that on, and then of course you go from relief and satisfaction. That was nice. Now there's a 7-year gap here, going from winning the UK Championship from 2008 all the way to 2015 for me to complete that magical set of Triple Crown Championships. It was a massive, massive moment. Cactus Blossom, good load of that on there because that's the only colour I'm putting in. I remember feeling that I was just totally full of happiness. I got my win. To 2020, in the depths of the pandemic when none of us were allowed out, my former manager and mentor and best mate, Brandon Parker, passed away. And that was totally heartbreaking. Now, there isn't a colour here for heartbreak. Heartbreak isn't an option. But I'm not the only person out there who's had a loss like that, and I'm not the only person who lost somebody during that time of our lives. It was a tough time, very, very sadly missed. But really nice that, the tour recognised all of Brandon's efforts and renamed the German Masters Trophy in honour of Brandon, the Brandon Parker Trophy, which now we all compete for every year in Berlin. Brandon, of course, would hate this because he was a die-hard Man United fan, and he would hate the association with blue. But Brandon, you'll just have to deal with it, mate. Very, very sad memory, but we had so many good times, and he did so much for snooker. In 2021, the game had just come out of lockdown. We were one of the first sports to introduce live crowds back, and Mark and I found ourselves in the final in front of a packed house. This was the 4th time I'd been to the final. I was unable to get the victory. I mean, losing to Mark Selby's no disgrace any day of the week. And we've been playing each other since we were 9 or 10 years of age. So no one's lost to him more than me. It was a great match. It had a bit of everything. So I think you could put almost any of these colours. You know, it was a bit of a new beginning with the game coming back. I loved it. I felt blue because I'd lost. It was a bit of frustration because no one likes to lose. But I think it was a relief that we were coming back to some kind of normality. That was a big time for everybody following the pandemic. So I'm going to go for a bit of relief and a bit of frustration, because at the end of the day, we're playing to win. And I'm going to do them both at the same time, which is risky, especially with these white trousers on. What's the worst that could happen? I'm not ambidextrous. I can play snooker left-handed. I can't paint left-handed, as you're about to find out. Let's see. I don't think that's too bad, you know. I don't think Damien Hirst has got anything to worry about, do you? At 41 years of age, I made a 147 at the shootout, described by many as one of the best maximums of all time. And you know what? It was an amazing experience. I remember being part of the crew that tested the rules for the shootout years ago. And we, at the time, we didn't even think anyone would have a century break. Now, there have been centuries, but not many. That's still quite rare. We never, ever thought that anyone would have a 147. I certainly didn't. I can't believe it was me. It was an amazing experience. It was happy, it was passionate. I'm going to go for passion, because at the end you give it the fist. And he's done it! Phenomenal achievement. It was just an incredible moment. I do personally think that Ronnie's 147 at the World Championship all those years ago is the best 147 that we've ever seen. I mean, 5 minutes and what was it, 8 seconds, something like that. I mean, at the World Championships, where it matters most, I think that is still the best. And finally, after 4 hours, 2 changes of trousers, 2025, my first Triple Crown success for a decade, where I beat Kyron in the final of the Masters. I'd started to feel genuinely as if my time winning those majors had gone. Thought I might still be able to win the odd little tour event here or there. Thought I might still feature as maybe one of the top players, that's fine. But in terms of winning those big championships, those gala events, I thought I was finished, if I'm totally honest. So no one was more surprised than me to be the one stood with the trophy at the end of the week. Absolutely delighted. One of the best moments of my career, without question. I think the World Championships is still the #1 position for me, because it's the World Championship. But of all the other events that I've won since then, I'd have to say that the winning the Masters for the second time is going to rank very, very highly for me. So for that, I'm going to go for satisfaction, because as a snooker player, nothing gives you more satisfaction than winning. That's it. That's my triangles of colour, guys. What do you think? I quite like it. Get that up in the tape. Thank you. I thought I was excellent.